Hello beautiful people, Linda from Linda's Essential Science here. Okay, so if you read my post earlier today, I'm a bit frustrated. I've been balancing and frankincensing. I'm a little bit frustrated about, just about a lot of things. I suppose about people not taking control of their health, about it not being a cool thing to be wanting to be a healthy individual. For being constantly sort of, look, this doesn't happen to me, but it happens to a lot of people that I speak to, that they are constantly sort of degraded or picked on or all the rest of it for wanting to take care of themselves. They choose to eat good food most of the time, to maybe not drink all the time, to not have a coffee when they go out with mates. And instead of applauding, we're doing the opposite, and that's actually not okay. I think it's time that we start to really applaud people who decide to do things that may be outside of societal norm to actually honour their bodies and take care of themselves. But I really want to talk about the thyroid today because I often ask my clients to send me their blood test results when they're presenting to me with symptoms that are out of the norm and that they shouldn't be feeling. So one of the big ones is extreme fatigue. That's something that always concerns me as a practitioner and as a friend because it's something that we shouldn't be experiencing. We should be vital. We should have this amazing energy. We should sleep beautifully. We should wake up with great vitality and not need something in order to pick ourselves up to get the day started. So I had this gorgeous client of mine in a world of issues. I'm not going to go into it for a lot of privacy reasons, but she sent me her blood test results. And now I've always talked about normal ranges and being really careful with it, but what happened today was I looked at this blood test result that was last week, and the new range for TSH in Australia has been increased to 6, like the higher end is now 6. What the? So let me break it down a little bit. What is TSH? Start from the start. We have a thing in our heads called our hypothalamus. It's kind of the gland that monitors our blood all the time to work out whether we're safe and whether there's things that need to happen in order to keep our body safe. It's our homeostasis control, basically. We also have this little gland called our pituitary gland, which is the gland that sends out a lot of chemical messengers to a lot of the other glands in our system in order to tell them to produce things or not to produce things or speed up or slow down, basically put. We have in our cells things called mitochondria, and the mitochondria need to be powered up by, or to activated by something in our system called the thyroxine. So T3 is the thyroid hormone that actually goes into our cells and activates the mitochondria, which gives us energy, okay? Creates our metabolism, blah, blah, blah. So that is what T3 does. T4 is our storage hormone, okay? It's our storage thyroxine. It sits in our cells so that our bodies can say, oh, we need that. So it converted to T3 quite easily because it's just removing one little chain thing. And then you're basically getting this free T3 ready to activate for your cells for energy. Now, this is all produced in a little gland, butterfly-shaped thing in our necks called our thyroid. So what happens is the pituitary is what talks to our thyroid to say that we either need to make more thyroxine or less T4. We need to make more T4 or less T4. Or hey, you're all cool, so keep going with the way you're going. So this little dude's here, sitting here, pumping out some thyroxine, and if he gets a bit overactive and starts to go a bit nuts, the pituitary will say, woo, 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 slow down, so it will reduce the chemical messenger that's going to our thyroid, telling it to produce thyroxine. If, for instance, it's slowing down and it's not doing enough, and the hypothalamus has monitored the blood and said, there's not enough thyroxine in the system, pituitary, can you tell the thyroid to get its act together? It'll start producing more of this thyroid stimulating hormone, which will make that thyroid pump faster and make more of that thyroxine. Now, the normal levels, or optimal levels, let's just say, of TSH in your blood should be about 1. Standard, it should just be around 1. A little bit less, a little bit more, fine, but 1. Now this means that your thyroid's not being pumped too hard, or it's not being told to back off either. That it's just pumping away, ticking away really nicely. Now, the normal laboratory ranges at the moment are 0.4 to 6. 6! Last year when I was doing this, it was 5. Recently, I've seen some changes and it's been dropped down to 4. So I was like, yay! But now it's 6. How is that okay? There is not one human being walking around on the planet with a TSH of 6 that feels any way, shape or form normal, and it is not okay. It's not okay. So how they basically what they do in a laboratory is that they standardize, they kind of, cut a long story short, they what's the word? Calibrate their machines every however often based on, say, they take a snapshot of the population of blood tests they're getting and they snapshot it and they say, right, this is the ranges of TSH that we're seeing. This is therefore the top of the bell curve, so this is what we're going to classify as normal. What? Who's getting blood tests? Who's getting blood tests? Healthy, happy, vibrant people? No, people who feel crap. They're not getting a blood test because they feel fabulous. They're getting a blood test because there's something wrong. So we're getting a snapshot of the population where there's something wrong. And we know that the thyroid is connected to so many other things. We know when we have high cortisol levels or high stressed body states that we're going to have a depressed thyroid function. We know with autoimmune conditions that the thyroid is often involved. We know when our hormones are crazy, we often know the thyroid's involved. The thyroid's involved in so many anxiety and depression cases. They're not tested. I get a bit ranty because I just don't understand why this is not just understood and why it's not demanded that we have a normal range that's actually normal. Now, the other thing that's interesting to note is TSH is the hormone in our system. When we take the blood test, we get a snapshot, like literally a snapshot of the last 3 months, the average of the last 3 months. So you could be going in and out of hypothyroidism or hypothyroidism, but your average is fine. And this is what often happens when people just get their TSH tested. So I really believe that a full thyroid screen is absolutely necessary to understand what is happening in our system. So when you do a thyroid screen, you're also looking at something called T4. T4 is what I said before, your storage thyroid hormone. Now, it's ranges in the laboratory at the moment. I'm not sure what the exact moment one is because obviously this full thyroid test wasn't done for this poor woman, even though she's screaming thyroid symptoms. But the normal ranges from what I was researching a few months ago are 10 to 20, okay, for T4 in our system. Now, if you've got, say you've got a really low TSH, you've got like 0.4, like the lower end of norm, right? So your pituitary is starting to back off and say, you've got a bit too much thyroxine in your system. Actually, let's go the other way. Say your TSH is maybe 3, okay? So still well in the normal ranges between, 0.4 and 6. 3 is considered normal. But if you think about the rest of the picture, so you then look at your T4 and your T4 is say 11, still normal range, yeah? 10 to 20, still normal range. But you've got a TSH of 3, so your pituitary is flogging your thyroid twice as much as it normally has if you're normally sitting at 1, to say, hey thyroid, you need to produce more thyroxine because something's not right here. Get going, mate, get going, right? But your thyroid's going, I'm working as hard as I bloody can. And it's only got 11. It's only managing just to make 11. With a TSH of 3, you should have higher end of your storage thyroxine hormone. Does that make sense? So it's the whole snapshot picture that is really important when you're looking at thyroid function, and I cannot stress enough. I printed out the symptom list because I didn't want to miss some. But the symptoms of thyroid dysfunction are broad and many. Some people just present with anxiety. That's it. They don't get any other symptom, but they present with uncharacteristic anxiety out of the blue. And that is a sign of hyperthyroidism. So thyroid disease symptoms checklist: gaining weight for no apparent reason, losing weight for no apparent reason, 2 big ones. You don't change anything else, often the thyroid's involved with that. Frequent exhaustion, sluggishness, nervousness, anxiety, irritability, feeling shaky, slowed thinking, memory problems, depression, lowered interest or excessive interest in sex, menstrual problems, infertility, insomnia, constipation, unusually frequent bowel movements, hair loss, thinning or dry hair, dry brittle nails, rough, itchy and or thinning skin, acne, puffy skin, cold skin, feeling unusually cold, sweating a little, too little or too much, numbness or tingling in the hands and feet, rapidly beating heart, weak muscles, painful and or enlarged eyes, hoarse voice and enlarged neck. What? There is so much in there. Now, my clients that I often see will have well over 6 to 8 of those symptoms. And if you do, there's a big indication that there may be something going on with your thyroid. And it may not be the primary thing, but it's going to be a secondary problem to a greater or another condition. So what I want to say to you is blood tests are only one thing. There is certainly a really important... it's certainly really important to look at your bloods, okay? But to not just see whether they're normal based on the ranges that are provided to us by the laboratories, because normal and not bolded, not high or not low, doesn't mean that anything is normal, okay? It doesn't mean that you're fine. In fact, what it means is if you're tending up with a TSH of 5.5, and you're told that you're okay, there is a problem. There is no one walking around on this planet with a TSH of 5.5. What I'm hoping will happen in the future, and what I'm going to be encouraging my children to do, is get a full screen of blood tests, full thyroid screen, full liver function, full bloods, hormone levels, things like that done when they're in their prime, when they feel fab. You know, in their 20s maybe. I'm feeling pretty damn good at 38, so I might go get myself some done now too. Because when you know what your normal is, it makes it so much easier to understand when there's a change. So that's what I want to tell you. And hopefully haven't ranted too much, but I'm so passionate about thyroid function, and I'm so passionate about really listening to the symptoms that are happening, to the murmurs and the whispers that are happening on a daily basis. These things creep up on us. But if you think back to 5 years ago when you were getting out of bed and jumping out of bed in the morning and had lots of energy to go to the gym and you felt fantastic and you could eat a lot more than you could eat now without having to worry about weight, and you didn't get worried or stressed or anxious about things. And then all of a sudden that's much harder. And what we do is we condition it. We say, oh, well, it's just because I've had kids. Oh, well, it's just because life's pretty busy at the moment. Oh, it's just because I've got all these stresses going on. Maybe there's something biochemically going on in our system that's been completely ignored by you, by the medical world, whatever it is. And that maybe some support in the right areas will make a huge change to how you feel. Just maybe. Just maybe. Ask the questions. If you feel the murmurs, if you hear the whispers, and you're pushing them away and you're medicating yourself with pharmaceutical drugs or caffeine or alcohol, you're waking yourself off with caffeine and cooling yourself down with alcohol, and you just can't feel good, maybe there's a reason for that. And maybe it's not just because suddenly you're a mum or a dad or your job's busy. Maybe there's a biochemical reason that's been ticking away for years. So don't take feeling crap lying down. Do something about it. Ask questions. Research. There's a fabulous book called The Complete Idiot's Guide to Thyroid Disease by Dr. Alan Christensen. It's a fabulous read, very easy to read, and will explain a lot of it. It is American, so some of the ranges are a little bit different in Australia, but it's definitely worth having a look at. Come along to one of my workshops. I've got a stress one next week, which will go into this in a little bit more detail. But yeah, do something. Let's start living a wellness lifestyle, and for it to be cool, to be fun, to be happy, and not hippie or frowned upon. Yeah. Let's do this. Let's be happy, healthy people and not that be abnormal. Oh, now I'm going to get my hair brushed. You want to say bye, Ayla? Bye. See you later, beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. Bye.